Welcome to the first episode of Unsportsmanslike Conduct, brought to you by Pratush Manike.
We're ready.
And Naviz Bontamida.
Okay, yeah, as you can see, we're a bit distant from each other. Really, would you like to explain why?
So I really like traveling from a young age. So this guy called me up. He's like, "Yo, you want to go play basketball for my university?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I took this Arya kid with me. He's kind of chill. He just listens to his music in his room. He's a little weird though. I think he's watching me from the door. So I probably gotta go lock the door because he's probably gonna come in. But anyways, yeah, that's my life story.
Bro, hey, where are you living? What's your address?
Actually, I don't even know my address because we got kicked out multiple times. Some guy, he sued us. We basically moved into this Airbnb. So we were just messing around with a fishing pole because we have nothing else better to do in our lives. So apparently that fishing pole was $250. We did get fined and kicked out of the house, and we were homeless for 2 days. So that was pretty fun. And then we kind of got another Airbnb, but that Airbnb was infested by drug dealers. So I think we had to leave that one as well. We're here now, but we're getting by. We've had Popeyes for our last 5 meals, but I think we're getting by. So yeah, that's my life story.
Yeah, that's. Are you gonna keep that basketball scholarship?
We might getting that basketball scholarship. I do think we're gonna make it to MIT due to this internship. So yeah. I don't know about him though. He's just playing Roblox in his room. So yeah, I gotta go check on him.
Okay.
The NBA Conference Finals just wrapped up, and Riwick, do you want to talk about the Eastern Conference and what happened?
So absolutely. So let's go with the Eastern Conference. My Boston Celtics defeated the Indiana Pacers 4-0. So first, I want to say Jaylen Brown did deserve that ECF MVP. Him and Tatum did have similar stats. However, Brown's work throughout the season, especially the allegations that he has in the left hand, which he definitely does, they have not gone unnoticed. He did average a whopping 30 points alongside Jason Tatum, but he definitely did deserve that MVP. But
Dude.
Tatum deserved it as well. You could make a case for either candidate to be able to win because he did have some clutch shots.
I feel like Tatum should have gotten it, dude. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists a game, close to 1.5 steals. He was just all around so good the entire series. I feel like Jason Tatum kind of got robbed.
You could say that, but excuse me, it's my turn to speak.
So. My fault.
Yeah. So basically, right? You could say yes, Tatum did have better stats, but Brown made the plays down the clutch. Because think about it. If Brown doesn't hit that shot at the end of game 1, it's Pacers 1-0. They get home court advantage, and then you're putting all the pressure on Boston to win game 2. And then in game 3, he had all those clutch threes down the stretch to bring the Celtics back into the game. He is a big part of why the Celtics were able to sweep the Pacers, and not only that, gain a rest advantage on the West team that made it out, which was the Mavericks. Yeah. Without Jaylen, I think the Celtics still win the series, but if he didn't play the way he did, I think he could have gone easily 6 games with Halliburton probably coming back, which is a sight that no NBA team wants to see. So I think Jaylen Brown really did deserve that ECF MVP.
I think Jason Tatum, although he had a pretty good series against the Pacers, I think Jaylen Brown, man, he was insane down the clutch, down the line.
Can we talk about Derek White though? That game winner shot.
That was cold. I was up at 12:30 a.m. I was in my seat. I was on my toes. When he hit that shot, I woke up my family. I woke up the neighbors. I woke up the street. I damn near the homeowners association. They filed a noise complaint on my ass. I'll do it again. If he hits that in the finals, buddy, I'm waking up the county. I'm committing crime.
That was an insane three. So.
That's what I'm saying. Derek White, he may not be the best player, but he's got that dog in him. I'm gonna be honest. He's got that dog in him. The streets know his name. The streets do know his name.
You can almost tell he's a Celtics fan. You can almost tell he's a Celtics.
Do not play with Derek White's name.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now.
Yep.
He's cold.
Yep. Yeah, I think someone might be having a little bias here, but that just.
You could say bias. I bleed green. So I don't know. That's up to you guys.
I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, so now let's move on to the Western Conference. We got the Western Conference. So, Riwick, why don't you tell us about the West?
All right. So we got 2 heavyweight NBA franchises in the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. So originally I expected, hey, the Timberwolves have the best defense in the NBA. This should be an easy series. The Mavericks are guided by their 2 superstars, Luka and Kyrie. But we were all very, very wrong as the Mavericks took a 3-0 lead. So first, this raises some questions. What happened to Minnesota's vaunted defense that led them over Denver, right? I think what happened was they found that the Mavericks were a completely different team than Denver. Denver plays as a fast-paced offense. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Murray. They're more like a fast-paced. They kind of like, push the ball in transition, layups, dunks, alley-oops, energy plays, while the Mavericks are more slow-paced, guided by Luka, ISO heavy. So I think Minnesota really needed to have like a kind of shift in their mentality to be able to guard the Mavericks, which obviously they didn't. It's not that the Mavericks are a better offense than the Nuggets, but it's that they're a different challenge, if you will.
Yeah, all
So
that
I think,
perimeter shooting. They have a
yeah,
lot of perimeter shooting. So.
absolutely. So I think Anthony Edwards, it's on him. He is still young, so I can't really put the blame on him too much. He did overexceed, but the second you start overexceeding in this league, people are going to start comparing you to people you shouldn't be compared about. And that's not really fair to him. But at the same time, if you're going to put the blame on anyone, it's going to be on him and it's going to be on Cat because if they showed up, they probably could have won the series.
They didn't do all that bad though. I feel like they were just outplayed by like the likes of Kyrie and Luka. I feel like the Timberwolves this series, they weren't terrible. Like if I'm looking at the games like 108 to 105, 109 to 108, 116 to 107, 105 100, 124 to 103. The games are pretty close besides game 3 and game 5.
Yeah.
Nah,
So
but
what I really think helped the Mavericks in this series was the addition of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. These two players they did not have before the trade deadline. I think they traded for PJ Washington with the Hornets. I think with Grant Williams, the greatest player of all time. But yeah, those two players really showed out for not only in this series but in the playoffs. So I think without those two guys, you don't really get where you are right now.
I think
And they're gonna
also,
be
I think you're forgetting that the Minnesota Timberwolves they played really terrible in the clutch, like in the fourth quarter.
yeah. So
Like they
one of
were
the
up,
problems,
like in those first 3 games, I believe, when 5 minutes of the fourth quarter were left, they were up against the Mavericks. And they played
yeah. So
terrible down the stretch defense. In the end.
definitely, but it's about like that clutch time offense again. While Minnesota does have the best defense in probably the entire league, their offense has been like pretty concerning, not only throughout the playoffs but for the whole season. And you definitely saw that as they collapsed against the Mavericks. They really didn't find an answer for anything. Because once your superstar does not get a shot going, I mean, everyone else has to chip in and kind of help him out. But they didn't do that either. They kind of fell short. Even Naz Reid was amazing for them throughout the playoffs. I think he did go 0 for 10 from 3 in the last game. So, obviously you can't win if your role players playing like that.
Yep.
I expected more from like Gobert too. I feel like
Yeah.
Gobert could have stepped up.
Like, I think Gobert's receiving hate that he doesn't necessarily deserve, but he definitely could have played better. But I wouldn't put the blame on him as much as I would put it on like Ant or Cat. More so Cat.
All right, yeah. Really? So what? How would like how would the Mavericks like prepare for a team like the Celtics? Like if you look at the Celtics, they're like all around great. They've been steamrolling everyone in the playoffs. They've got like good all around. Like everyone's contributing for the Celtics. Porzingis is coming back. That's interesting because that gives them a lot of offense and defense too. So how would the Mavericks like prepare for a team like that? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, definitely. I think the Mavericks, the team. So already, right? The teams that they've been playing throughout these playoffs, the Clippers, Thunder, and then now the Timberwolves, all really quality teams. So they've really been tested throughout these playoffs. But when you're going into an environment like TD Garden, especially for Kyrie, he's had history there. It's like really, you got to get your nerves straight, right? Because a lot of these players on the Mavericks, they've never been to the finals. I'm pretty sure Kyrie is probably their only player with any sort of deep postseason experience. Obviously with those runs in Cleveland. But I think when you face a team like the Celtics, at least defensively, you're gonna have to be on your A game because again, they have like 5 to 6 options. They play a 5-out offense. Anybody can shoot three. And not only that, they're two-way team. They play defense. Like you're gonna find people from like all the way up from the top, from like Jason Tatum to even the rotation players like Pritchard. They'll play defense. They'll full court press you if they want to. So it's just that like new challenge that you have when playing a team like that. Everyone's been calling them the best team in basketball. So yeah, it's a really tough challenge. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I think what they got to do is they got to stick to their game plan. They can't just like start shifting around. Everyone's got to be on their matchups. Everyone's got to play well defense. Like, that's the only way you can really beat the Celtics. Obviously,
Yeah.
and what should the Celtics specifically do? I feel like Kyrie and Luka are like manage. They're just like carrying the entire team. Like obviously other people are chipping in too, but it's mainly Kyrie and Luca. I feel like if you like shut them down both, then the Mavericks are easily beatable. Cause I'm looking at their like options right now. Really, their next best option is PJ Washington. While you look at the Celtics, they're like super stacked. Plus, as we can see, they're playing like great defense so far. Jason Tatum in the conference finals, he averaged like 1.3 steals. Jalen Brown had 2 steals and nearly a block. Al Horford averaged a steal and 2 blocks. Derek White especially 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2.3 blocks. They've been going crazy on defense, and they I think have this potential to shut this Mavericks offense down and bring the series home to Boston.
So to counter your argument, I would say like Tim Hardaway is definitely the third option. He can shoot the three, he can shoot the mid range. He's definitely like a 3 level scorer. People don't really give him a lot of credit. You know, I really think that he can be the X factor in the series. If he can get going, the Mavericks can definitely keep pace with the Celtics offense because obviously you have Luka and Kyrie you have to worry about. But if Tim can really get going, I think they can really make this a competitive series. Yeah. Honestly, if I were Joe Mazzulla, right? Obviously I'm not the coach, but like say if I was in his shoes, how I would game plan for this is what worries me about Luka is not his scoring, it's his playmaking. So if he can, it's kind of like Jokic. If he can be able to like neutralize his teammates and let him get his points or whatever, say if he scores like 40, right? But if you can keep his assist numbers low, I think you're gonna win every game, right? And then the thing about Kyrie is he's very probably the most gifted scorer and or ball handler of all time. But the thing about him is he's a very ISO heavy player. So if you can force him into like a bad shooting slump or something, trying to lock him down, maybe double team him, he's going to get frustrated. And then I've seen him personally in 2018, 2019. I know this was a while ago, but like, you know, and he was the number one option on that Celtics team. They were playing the Bucks in the second round and he absolutely folded under pressure. So if you can get him to a situation where it's like, okay, you got to like either do this or do that, I think the Celtics can definitely shut him down.
So who do you think like needs this series more? Would you think the Celtics need to win like more or the Mavericks?
I don't think it's even close. Yeah, I think it's the Celtics as well because if you really think about it, everyone has faced the Celtics have faced so much slander. I'm not gonna lie, like it's been like absurd at this point. I have a couple names in mind, some of them who may be on this podcast, but you know, Tatum has been in the league for what 8 years now. He's been so close.
Favorite 19-year-old.
Favorite 19-year-old for sure.
But I think one thing is that they're under extreme pressure. People have been slandering them across this whole playoff run.
Yeah, because honestly,
lucky. Like I think if they really beat the Mavericks team, they can really shut down those like doubts and
so many narratives like that one ring in 37 years that I keep seeing. No Tatum ring, no Brown ring. All the Warriors fans would shut up. All the Heat fans would shut up. Let me just think off the top of my head. All the Bucks fans
Jimmy
would shut
Butler. Who else would shut up? I think the 76ers would shut up a little bit too.
I think the 76ers would shut up a little bit, even though they have no room to talk in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what else. You know, Tatum would finally get the respect he deserves. Honestly, he gets slandered way too much. The second he has a bad game,
I agree.
Right? So, you know, all the narratives would change. But if they lose, it would be so much worse. I think I'd have to like leave social media. Not only leave social media, I'd have to go like retreat into the woods and then meditate for like a couple years. I could probably get like Mikey to do my like high school work or wherever. So I'm gonna have to like go be one with nature because the amount of slander I'm gonna get. First of all, I'm gonna cry for a week straight. Then I may probably go meditate. I'll probably go, you know, kind of explore the interests of life. You know, maybe find some new hobbies. Maybe find something that truly makes me happy. Because if the Celtics don't pull out a victory this year, there are no limits to what I will do. There are no limits.
2022 was already bad enough. I mean, they got
like if you really think about 2022, look, we played the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah,
a dynasty, a perennial dynasty.
Like the super team got fouled. Like
I'm very aware.
Yeah.
If we don't win this year, with probably the best Celtics team I've seen in my lifetime, I don't know if one they're gonna break up this core because we have everyone under contract, but some trades are gonna go down because if they don't get it this year, this is like. When I saw that the Mavericks were in the finals, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking my lucky stars. Because say if we got a team like Denver or Minnesota, these are teams that can literally beat us in 6 games, right? Like, you may not be the favorite in the series, but they could definitely push us. But when you get a team like the Mavericks, I'm not saying by any means the Mavericks are a bad team, but when you compare them to teams like Denver or Minnesota that could match up, that are like matchup nightmares for the Celtics, really you gotta be thinking that. So if you really can't pull out a win in this game or with this series, I really don't know what to tell anybody on that team because
I mean,
you know
the last time the Mavericks were underdogs was 2011. We all know how that went.
well it's 2024, so
Yeah,
hopefully
but
I'm
like
hoping for a different
Dirk
example.
Nowitzki is not Luka Doncic.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if the Mavericks do win, like where would Luca rank in like terms of like investment?
So he'd probably solidify himself as the best player in the NBA, at least currently. He has a Finals MVP. He has a ring. He has probably an MVP next season. So automatically, I'm thinking he's like top 30, 40 all time if you get that Finals MVP. And then
30,
not to mention,
40 all time. What?
I would say so. I'm gonna be honest. I would say so because if you're really ranking like, the Kevin Garnett's and the Paul Pierce like top 30, right? Where would Luka rank? I mean, he did lead this team. Like, if you really think about it, this would be one of the best playoff runs I've ever seen. If you think about it, every team he's faced is a 50-win team. Every
Yep.
team he's faced has championship expectations, right? He did not face a single like bye, if you will, this entire playoffs. And then not to
Well,
top it off,
team I know, like in the Eastern Conference, that faced like 3 buys on their way here. But
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but like if you really think about it,
I wouldn't say that, of course.
right? So it's just that like who expected the Mavericks to be here from the beginning of the season? Because I think everyone at the beginning of the season had the Celtics and the Nuggets in the finals, right?
Sure.
The Mavericks were not in anyone's, even if you went to DraftKings, the Mavericks would be probably at the bottom of the list, bottom of the middle of the list, because this is a team that had missed the playoffs previous season, right? So, no one really expected them to be here. And then if you top it off, 4 50-win teams and 60-win team, right? If you can beat that team, this would definitely solidify Luka's legacy as an all-time great.
But when you look at it at the Mavericks perspective, like look how much they gave up for Kyrie. You can't. I feel like Kyrie like needs to win this year. He's been bouncing around so many teams, so many championship level teams. He said like, "I'm gonna stay here forever. I love this. This is my career." Right? In Boston when he said, "Oh, I'm here forever."
And I'm re-signing here next summer.
We remember that very well.
Yeah. So I feel like Kyrie's gonna get mad if they don't win. He's gonna lose patience really quickly, right?
It's not more so that Kyrie has had not, let's say, no pressure to win, because it's not that he has pressure to win. It's just that like a ring, especially against the Celtics team, will do numbers for his legacy. Like obviously his fans are already very delusional, but if they're gonna start putting him in conversations that he doesn't need to be in, but like outside of that, it's not that Kyrie doesn't have a Kyrie ring wouldn't be good for him. It's just that the Celtics need it that much more because the amount of slander and the amount of hate they would get for not winning this one would be like, I don't think they'd ever recover as a franchise. I think we're going to turn to the Charlotte Hornets if we don't win this one. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Luka is probably the superstar, and like these both teams that are under the least amount of pressure. He's the youngest. It's his final appearance. Like
Exactly. I mean,
he's not under pressure.
It's not that no one's expecting him to win, but it's the fact that he still has time. Because if you take someone like Jimmy Butler, who's around 34, 35, he's like on the downside of his career. If he made the finals, obviously, last season, I was going to say, if he didn't win it that year, I don't think he's ever going to either not only reach the finals, he's never going to win another finals because that was his only shot at a ring. Because say if he was in his prime, yeah, he's on the downside of his career. He's not going to win another championship. And it's not like, Pat Riley's going to do anything with that Heat front office to try to build around him because I can see all over social media, this guy's like requesting a trade. Oh, the Sixers want to sign him. So when a player reaches that age, it's like, yeah, they're pretty much done. But the thing about like the Luka, the Tatums, and the SGAs of the league is that they're young. They're 27, they're 26. They're on the upside of their career, and they're probably going to see a lot more MVPs and a lot more success. Like these are the future. This is the future of the league, right? So obviously if the Celtics win, that solidifies Tatum. But if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Like it would be pretty bad this summer, right? All the discourse and slander, but he definitely has, especially with the Celtics team with everyone under contract. He's probably going to sign an extension. Derek White's probably going to sign an extension. So they still got a couple years, but like it's the psychological damage.
Do the Celtics have enough money to like re-sign all their players?
I have no idea because think about it. They signed Holiday to a supermax. They signed Jaylen Brown to a supermax. They're going to sign Tatum this summer. They got to still sign White. Horford's probably gone. So that leaves Porzingis. Porzingis is probably going to leave when his contract's up. So we'll see.
Fair.
We need our finals
predictions. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll go first. Actually, I'm probably the most biased of all of us, so I think you guys should take this.
All right. I got Celtics in 6, all right? The Mavericks will win the first 2 games, but The Celtics just come back all four. They win. They go on a 4-game win streak, and then they win in 6 with Jason Tatum becoming the Finals MVP.
No, I think it's gonna be Celtics and like 5. Let's be real with you. I think the Dallas team will get 1 win, but like I think it's Celtics domination. I wish they were, but like I think the Celtics and 5.
Okay, first of all, per usual, what you said was absolutely blasphemous. Okay, first of all, Celtics in 6 may absolutely happen, but the way that's happening is not what you're going to say. If you really think the Dallas Mavericks are going to walk into TD Garden and steal both games on the finals, I don't know what to tell you, but that's not going to happen.
What would you do if it happened? What would you do?
Oh, I'd probably kill myself, but that's for another time. Okay, and then what you said, Avish, is probably
what
the more
happened
realistic.
to like finding enjoyment? What happened
So
to?
if that happened, and then I did not find enjoyment because the Mavericks won 2 more games, whether or not that may be immediately after or later in the series, I'd really have to reconnect myself with nature.
Bro's gonna become the Buddha.
Probably go to call an old friend. Go meditate in the mountains in the Himalayas. I was really thinking about that. Living with this kid has really brought out the inner spirituality that lurks within me.
Yeah, but I think Celtics in 5 is a much more probable thing.
I think that's probably more realistic. I was thinking probably like it's definitely not going to be a sweep. I think Luka has some game in him that he can really take over, probably in game 3 or game 4. When their backs are against the wall. But yeah, I think what Havish saying, Celtics in 5 is probably my prediction. I think. Yeah, but I think people are really overrating the Mavericks because it's more so that it's not just the Mavericks; they just really don't want to see the Celtics win a ring. Because I know I'm going to be insufferable. I'll never shut up about it. But the Celtics are a very vocal fan base, so I don't think they will either. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's look at some of your NBA Finals predictions. We put a discussion on our Instagram page. You can go follow it in the description below. Everything will be linked there. Pranav Dantaneni says Mavericks in 5. Ritwick, how do you feel?
So I think the only 5 the Mavericks will be receiving is the 5 guys they get after the Celtics beat them on their home floor in TD Garden. I think Luka Doncic might order a burger, a couple fries, maybe a milkshake to go along with that. Mavericks in 5 is not really in anybody's prediction. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen, at least with my Celtics. So that's all I got to say about that.
I'm gonna just say if Mavericks are gonna win the series, obviously there's no way they get like that.
Okay.
Yep.
So Hanming Sun says Celtics in 6.
Want your prediction, but I think the Celtics in 5.
Yeah. Jeremy Thomas says Mavericks in 6.
Mavericks in 6. That's interesting. I don't see the Mavericks winning unless it's in 7. I'm sorry.
Rahul Menon specifically said, bro, he specifically said not even Mavericks in 6. He said non-Celtics in 6. He does not mess with your team, Ritwick.
So one thing I have to say about Mr. Rahul Menon is, first of all, you need to start pulling up for the St. Marlowe basketball hangouts. I don't know what you're doing. And second of all, I don't know how you have this much hate in your heart for someone who has nothing to do with your franchise at all. Why did you choose Tatum to hate? Why did you choose Celtics? We have not done anything to your Atlanta Hawks except knock them out.
You go through his reposts and you have a reaction.
Yeah. So guys, search up Rahul Menon on TikTok and then you're gonna see what we're talking about. I think that Mickey Mouse theme song has been engraved in my head. Okay. So one question I've recently been receiving is that do I like the Celtics because their mascot is short and he's a leprechaun? To counter this point, I'm actually a Connecticut native, so I do not like the Celtics because of their mascot, although their mascot is very, very tough. That's just one question I've been receiving lately.
If you're a Connecticut fan, why don't you support the Knicks or something?
Because if you really think about it, first of all, I hate the Knicks. They have no aura. The Celtics have more aura. And then second of all, I did start out, as football as my first sport. Football, right? What team covers Connecticut? The New England Patriots, right? So what team are Patriots fans the NBA team of? The Boston Celtics. So when you go from the Patriots, you naturally fall into the Celtics.
So Omkar Baratham says Mavericks in 4. They think they're gonna sweep you. He thinks he's gonna sweep your team, right? Honestly, I think they're just trolling you at this point. They do not mess with you.
Wait, can you read RB comments? So I think Omkar, I think you're a little delusional in the head, right? So if you really think about it, the only sweeping that's going to happen is not going to be on the Mavericks side. I think it's going to be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown holding that.
There's no
Room. Yeah, so if you really think the Celtics are not going to win a game, I don't know what to tell you. Let alone
Right.
series.
Arya Sharma says Mavericks in 6.
See,
Yeah.
look, if the Mavericks win in 6, it's going to have to be like a Mavericks in 7. I can definitely, give you. They can definitely win in 7. But Mavericks in 6, Luka and Kyrie are going to have to play the best series of their lives. Not only that, Washington, Gafford, Lively, if he comes back, Hardaway, they're going to have to play probably the best series of their lives. At least like 3 of them, right? Because if they really want to keep pace with the Celtics offense, that's probably what they're going to have to do. Outside of that, 7 games is probably more realistic if you're looking for a Mavs victory.
Yep.
All right. Arya Metla says Shy carries the Thunder all the way and has the craziest comeback of the century.
So, actually, Arya Vedramela is next to me right now. So you want to hear his opinion on this?
Yes. I'm on the podcast. Special guest. Episode
Yeah.
1.
Okay, guys, as you know, the NFL offseason is coming to a close and the draft is over. Basically, most of the free agents have been signed. So let's look at some of these teams offseason and let's grade them. Let's talk. How about this, Havish? Let's talk about the Falcons' wonderful offseason and draft.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we paid like $1 billion to Kirk Cousins. All right, I'm like, we got a quarterback for the future. I guess we're gonna be competitive for years to come. And then in the draft, I thought, hey, why are we not just gonna select the defensive piece in order to help our team become better in the defensive side, which we really struggled on in the past couple of years. But then the pick comes in and it says Michael Penix Jr. And I'm like shocked. Like I don't know, like. I genuinely wanted to like jump off my deck. I was watching the draft on my deck. I genuinely wanted to like jump off my deck. It was like actually like I was actually upset. Like I don't even know where to begin. Like seriously, why are we drafting a quarterback? 28 years old. I mean, we're still
Quite
gonna
an unfortunate decision by the Falcons to draft Michael Penix. Many other players were on the board. I've seen many videos of the wonderful Atlanta Falcons fan base reacting to the Michael Penix Jr. pick. Let's just say they were very unpleasant, but they were very obligated, right? They were very, let's just say, it was deserved. If you really want to make a pick,
they brought him to Atlanta for his gang ties, bro. Have you seen him? He shouted out his like entire hood during one of his college football games, bro. He came.
Yeah, a very unprofessional move. We're gonna look forward. If I was the Atlanta Falcons front office, I would look for more professionalism in the future. As a man of professionalism myself, I would really wonder, is this who we want leading our franchise?
just want to really like.
I feel like they could have drafted Dallas Turner. Everyone wanted Dallas Turner.
Drafted Latu as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going forward, if I was the Atlanta Falcons, at this point, I would just give up trying to draft people because, at this point, the franchise is kind of in the mud. So in the future, I would probably go for like more professionalism. I don't care if you can't throw more than 5 yards. If you maintain a professional attire in the workplace, showing up to work on time, dressing,
Is this Bill Belichick's wide receiver? Is this Bill Belichick's wide receiver plan?
This might be, many good wide receivers have came out of Bill Belichick's coaching. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, to name a few.
Name like five, please.
All right, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, 2016 Malcolm Mitchell. The streets will never forget him. You got Kendrick Bourne. I love Kendrick Bourne. I think Pierre Bourne's a little better, but Kendrick Bourne's pretty up there. And then one more would probably be N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry. He's underrated. I've always loved N'Keal Harry, but DK Metcalf was on the board, AJ Brown was on the board, but I'm gonna have to stick with N'Keal Harry. I think N'Keal Harry is the best player in the draft.
How many touchdowns has
I still think N'Keal Harry is the best player in the draft. He brings a professional attitude to the workplace. He makes him and his teammates better. I think N'Keal Harry is our pick. So it's a shame we traded him.
Now we're on the Patriots. Now we're on the topic of the Patriots. They didn't have that bad of a draft this time. I'm pretty surprised.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of Belichick's best years out of drafting. At least in recent memory. He did draft Drake May.
Even drafting.
Yeah, so I think Drake May is already the best player to ever wear number 10 for the Patriots. Really no other players really come to mind, especially in recent memory. probably at the quarterback position, right?
Mac Jones. Mac
Um,
Jones. There you go.
You know, we had Tom Brady, greatest player of all time for 20 years. Then we got Cam Newton, and then those 3 years have been really a blur. I don't really know anyone else that was
Yo,
like
Mac Jones. Mac
in the
Jones.
position.
What happened? What
I'm not
happened
really
to
sure who that is.
Bro? What happened to Michael McCorkle Jones, bro?
Yeah, and
You
then
can-
we got I don't know who that is. So I think Brian Hoyer was our quarterback for 4 years, so he was pretty good. But now we got Drake May. We got Drake May, the best player to ever wear number 10 for the Patriots, even though he has never played a snap. But yeah, so that's really good. I think he can be the next Tom Brady, probably even greater than Tom Brady. I think Patrick Mahomes has someone on his radar to watch out for. So we'll see how it goes.
y'all said the same about Mac Jones after that first rookie.
I don't know who Mac Jones is, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
he
don't
doesn't
know
exist.
what is his
Yeah,
name.
but you know who else? Patrick Mahomes has to worry about.
He does not have to worry about CJ
Anybody, but
Stroud,
I'm gonna
bro.
be honest. Like they say, the NFL is competitive. I'm not gonna lie. If the Chiefs won it next year, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point. Like, who's really stopping them?
Dude, the
Oh,
Chiefs are
but-
good though. The Chiefs are really
Yeah,
good.
Chiefs are probably. It's not even Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL.
Nah,
But when you have other people like my son was just showing me something. You know, anyways. But so they have Travis Kelce, superstar tight end, probably the second greatest tight end, probably second or third greatest tight end of all time.
Who's the first?
yeah, number one being Tony Gonzalez.
I think Baby Gronk's dad is the first. So, and then number 2 is Tony Gonzalez. But I would say, yeah, Kelsey's minimum top 3 tight end of all time. And then not only that, on the defensive side of the ball, you got lockdown corners in L'Jarius Sneed and
But like Mahomes,
yeah.
this is like these past few years, this is like the first time that Mahomes has had a capable defense. Like, look
Yeah,
at
it's really special because obviously, the defense is what carried the Chiefs to the championship this year, but Mahomes is always going to be special on offense. So that's obviously both sides of the ball you need to watch out because usually how the Chiefs have been, at least in their, dynasty, if you will, they've been led by their offense, but now they've shifted towards their, lockdown defense. So it's really interesting to see that.
yeah, but like Patrick Mahomes will have to worry about my glorious king, Bernard Stroud, bro. This Texans offseason was crazy. Stephon Diggs, Daniil Hunter. We did lose some key pieces, but we still got Diggs and Turner, and that wide receiver core of Diggs,
Yeah,
Tank,
that tandem of
and
absolutely.
Collins. That's gonna be really good. And don't forget about like John Mechie too, coming back from leukemia. He's that wide, and Dalton Schultz, CJ Stroud, and along with Joe Mixon too. They have so many weapons on offense which they can utilize during CJ Stroud's rookie contract until he gets extended for like $50,000 a year because the QB market's like crazy.
To counter your point, I don't think $50,000 million a year. I don't know what that is, but I think the point Patricia's trying to get across is that he is going to get a major payday. But yeah, I do think the Texans, especially led by the tandem of CJ Stroud and Stephon Diggs, can win the AFC South this season. So it's going to be interesting to see. Can they beat the Chiefs? I really hope they do because I don't need this Kermit the Frog in my GOAT discussion with Tom Brady. So yeah. So if that happens, that'd be really good to see. Also, I want to see if other teams like the Bills, anyone else that can really compete with the AFC.
Falcons making the Super Bowl.
If the Falcons won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't even be mad as long as that Kermit doesn't win it. So yeah.
They also had like a really decent draft too for not having a first round pick. Drafted Kamari Lassiter, who's from Georgia, a cornerback, which they really need. They've drafted Blake Fisher, offensive tackle. We've now basically solved our needs. Cornerback, offensive tackle. Obviously, we'll have to see how they shape up in this season. But I feel like they had a really great offseason, and the future's just bright for us.
I think the Falcons really added like a very important position. They need quarterback.
Bro, they're playing fantasy football. 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yo, trust guys. Kirk Cousins is on bye on like week 7, so like we needed him.
Oh yeah, they got Kirk Cousins. I forgot about that. I don't know how that guy's gonna do. But,
Another team I'm really excited about this year, the Bears. Like they're Hard Knocks. They're featured on Hard Knocks. They just drafted Caleb Williams and Romeo Dunze. That's gonna be such a good duo for years
Patrice, I
to
want you to
come.
do one thing for me.
You gay like Oreo. What's his name?
Patrice. I want you have a computer, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to go to calendar and then tell me what year it is. Why can't you use your computer?
2024.
So it's 2024, and you're believing in the Chicago Bears.
Yes, dude. Yes.
I think that's your first problem. So you got to get that checked out, and then
You all said the same thing about the Texans last year. Don't even lie.
And where'd the Texans end up this year?
Top of the AFC South.
Yo, against the Jaguars team that sold the bag.
Good job. You beat Duval County. Yes, Duval County. Such an accomplishment.
You beat
No.
Tanamid
No,
and
no, listen,
You beat a team
listen.
run by the worst owner
Listen.
in the NFL.
Listen, Caleb Williams, Romeo Dunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. That's already like a really good. That's the second best wide receiver combo in the league, probably.
What's the first?
Um,
What's the first place?
Texans.
Yo, if you guys don't give Stephon Diggs like 40 targets a game, you guys are gonna get like cooked.
Yeah, so what I'm
No,
worried about for the Texans is that Stephon Diggs, while being the
Yeah,
amazing
I
talent he is,
agree. I agree. That's
Yeah.
my main concern.
so with Stephon Diggs, he is probably one of the best. I mean, he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But another problem he has is he does throw temper tantrums. I've experienced these on Twitter. They are very, very funny. But while they are very funny, it's very detrimental to the team he does play for. Before it was the Bills, so I loved seeing it because I love playing on their downfall. But with a team like the Texans, I couldn't really care. But for Texans fans, it's really something you got to watch out for, especially any playoff flameouts that might happen. So
Yeah,
while you do have to pay Diggs and you got to give him targets, you have to make sure he's happy as well because you don't want him, starting another Twitter rant. No one wants that.
that is true. That's my main concern. Still, that's
So-
still a really talented offense.
So where
But
does like
back to the Bears. Like they've got Caleb Williams, Romeo Dunze. We don't know how they'll fare, but they still have like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. They have DeAndre Swift, who's really good. I'm not sure about their O line
4 years ago,
situation.
DeAndre Swift was pretty good. Like 4 years ago, I think he's good now.
Look, we don't know about their O line situation yet, but I'm looking at their defense. They've made like acquisitions like Tremaine Edwards, Montez Sweat, and Kevin Byard, which I feel like is a huge step up as to what they had last year. So I think the Bears are gonna do good this season. The NFC North in general is just super like competitive this year. Also, the Vikings also did really good in the draft too with JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner. We can see like the Texans, Texans question DJ Stroud, Will Anderson, but the Vikings, JJ McCarthy, and Justin Jefferson duo is gonna be really good.
Yo, I'm telling you, JJ McCarthy is just like his like prospect type is just carried like because he won the national championship. He's not that good. Like,
No, I agree. I thought the same, but I feel like we don't know yet though. Like I
you compare a lot to like Mac Jones. I think Ray would know a lot about Mac Jones, but
I don't know who that is.
oh yeah, of course you do. But like these two are like very similar. Like they were carried. They had really good head coaches. They had a very good surrounding core.
I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't really know who Mac Jones is, but this, JJ McCarthy, yeah, he sounds like a really promising prospect. But I
don't
remember
think he's
saying that about this.
promising.
No. I remember like I was watching the draft. I think it was 2020. We drafted this guy. I don't really remember what his name was, but I think he also wore number 10. I remember saying that. I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna be the next Tom Brady. We just found our Tom Brady replacement. And then 3 years later, I think he just disappeared from reality. I think he's in like Jacksonville or something. I don't really know where he went, but we got Drake May now, so everything's all good, right?
Yeah, he wears
But, like,
number 2.
honestly, do the Bills even want to win? Like they traded all the way down. They gave Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs, the fastest player in the draft. Don't
Yeah,
let
I'm
that
not
man
gonna lie.
touch.
As a Celtics fan, I've gone through a lot of pain. As a Patriots fan, I can't really say the same. We did win 6 Super Bowls, but if I was a Bills fan, not only if I was an older Bills fan, say if I lived through the 1990s, if I had to go through 4 straight Super Bowls and not win any of them, and then now in the modern era, you draft a franchise quarterback in Josh Allen, and then now you're supposed to be contending, but the only thing you've been flexing is division titles against 80-year-old Bill Belichick. Yeah, I would probably want to kill myself too, but yeah.
Yeah, do they even want to? I mean, Keon Coleman's great. He's funny and all, right? But like, you're giving someone like Xavier Worthy like to the Chiefs. That's like really dangerous. They might repeat. They might three-peat.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
If you really think about it, the real loser here is Damian Harris. He did leave the Patriots for that
Bro, what
Buffalo
are you
Bills.
talking?
If you really think about it, right, he should have just stayed with the Patriots, But yeah,
Damian Harris wasn't even that good. I'm just trying to.
yes, he was
Yeah.
top 10 running back in the league at his prime. You don't understand.
Yeah, at his prime. Is he at his prime?
No,
Yeah.
And what are the Broncos doing drafting Bo Nix that high?
Bo Nix must be the most overrated
Yeah,
draft. pick.
post Peyton Manning Broncos have been a wild ride, and it's not been high. It's been kind of down.
It's like Broncos country. Let's ride.
Broncos country is indeed not riding. Broncos country is indeed falling off. Broncos country is in the dirt. I'm praying somebody, literally anybody, compete with the Chiefs. Do not let these guys get like 5 Super Bowls in the next
Y'all
6 years.
don't get it.
Like,
Y'all don't get it. The Falcons
No.
with like Michael Penix like running as like the third down merchant. We got it.
no, you say Tom Brady has had an easy division. When I look at the AFC West, who's there? I
Justin
don't
Herbert-
see a competent
Herbert.
team. I don't see
Justin
a
Herbert.
good
The
franchise.
Chargers will be competent this year. They don't have Brandon
Justin
Staley.
Herbert Sherbert is not doing anything. I can guarantee you that. Another 9-7 season and a first round exit is definitely on the way. He is not going anywhere after that. Right? And you got the Raiders. I don't know who their quarterback is. That O'Connell guy. Yeah, I don't know what he's up to.
Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, that guy's gone. I don't know where he went. So you got the Raiders, and then who's left? We got Broncos country. Let's die. It's looking pretty like another AFC West championship for another
The low cow of the
Kansas
week
City
goes to
Chiefs.
the AFC. The low cow of the week goes to the AFC West.
Indeed. No, not low cow of the week. Low cow of the year. What about low cow of the decade? Probably at this rate. Yeah. So if Taylor Swift does win another ring, I don't love the Chiefs. So, yeah. If I really see the Swifties go back to back, I will.
The Swifties go back.
I will lose my I'll lose my cool. I will lose my cool because I have to hear about it from someone that is
No,
no.
now we still got people. We still got people like T. Higgins looking for a T. Like T. Higgins requested a trade. Where do y'all think he's gonna go?
Yo, he's
I
gonna
think
go
he's
to
gonna come to New England. If he does come to New England, I'll buy
Atlanta.
his
I think
jersey.
he's going to Atlanta.
No, he doesn't want Atlanta. He wants a good city.
Nah,
like,
he doesn't want to play
Bro,
for us.
this is so bad, bro. This is like unbiased, completely objective. Who do you think he's
He
realistically
stays
going?
with the Bengals. He stays with the Bengals for luck.
Realistically, honestly, he might stay with the
No,
Bengals, but
he
if
requested a trade. He requested a trade.
he did. But again, when the player requests a trade, they don't always, get what they want. Sometimes you do see the player staying with their team, but in this case, I think he's gonna get traded. I think the Patriots, I'm not even being biased. I do think they have the best shot, but they're not the only people with the shot. I think a team like the Falcons could definitely go and get him. But the Patriots' assets, especially with their new ownership, new GM and everything, they could definitely make a run at him. I think they're more aggressive, and I like that coming from the Patriots fans, right? I think they could definitely make a shot at T. Higgins. He'd definitely be their number one option, right? They have absolutely no one on their wide receiver core right now. So that would be really interesting if they went and got him.
I think every single big name wide receiver that's been on the free agent market or the trade block has always been linked to the Patriots, and they never.
Yeah. They
I feel-
do never go because Belichick, unfortunately, he likes building up his defense. He does not care about his offense. I'm going to be honest. That's kind of why that guy, I can't really remember his name. He did kind of, fail in New England. That's partly the reason why. Maybe if Belichick made a better, maybe we were more aggressive in getting those offensive players, or maybe even drafting better, we could have seen some playoff success. But outside of that, I think this new ownership is really going to head in a new direction and then start drafting offensive players, which is what made the Patriots a dynasty in the first place.
I feel like he could go to the Bills. The Bills are lacking that. They've got Keon Coleman, but they're still lacking that wide receiver one position, and I feel like T. Higgins could complement that very well. I feel like the Bills could use him a lot, and another team that could use him a lot would probably be the Falcons too. Yeah, like
I think
the Falcons could use him. The
Falcons are
Patriots
very
could also
lacking.
use him, as you guys said.
Yeah, and not to mention, again, so, as we see with the AFC, if T. Higgins does leave the Bengals, that's another major blow to them. And it's not only T. Higgins, there's multiple players that have requested a trade on their team, multiple, core pieces, if you will. I think we're seeing the end of the Bengals title run title window, because look, if they're losing all these players, I think Jamar might leave, too. Who does Burrow
Jamar's
have
not
to throw
leaving.
to?
Jamar
Even if
for-
I'm be for with you. Like,
Even if
No, he's
Jamar
not.
gets locked up by some franchise tag or extension or whatever,
No.
I think the
Literally-
Bengals,
no,
their window's done.
literally all Joe Burrow needs is an offensive line, and they're set.
I swear they
I mean,
tried.
if everyone's leaving, that means their defense loses credibility. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of what.
I swear to
you know.
God, for the past 6 years, they've been trying to fix its offensive line, and they just haven't got it. to work.
Yeah.
They
So
drafted.
if their
They
front office doesn't get it together,
Orlando Brown, it didn't even work. I don't even know what
Yeah.
happened.
No, because Orlando Brown's primarily a right tackle, and he's forcing himself to play left tackle as to get more money. He's really it's like trying to write with it's like you're right-handed, but you're trying to write with your left hand. It's really hard. So
Yeah.
he's just trying to get himself money. I feel they drafted Amarius Mims, an offensive tackle, here in this draft right here. So Yeah, I
We'll
feel
see.
like the Bengals just need to address that situation, which it looks like they already did.
And then
I think
another
if they
thing,
ever, I think if they ever
before, yeah,
T Higgins, they're gonna have to get an offensive lineman in return.
Yeah,
yeah, I would definitely trade for some, offensive type, someone that can at least boost up their offensive line. Give Joe Burrow more than 3 milliseconds to throw the ball. That would be very appreciated by him.
so I feel like my 5 winners for this offseason, in no particular order, I feel like it's like the Texans, Lions, Eagles, Bears, and Vikings. They all had like outstanding off
I don't
seasons,
know what you're
and
talking about. The Falcons were definitely on the winners list. Like even with
oh
the
yeah, of course,
no,
I
like,
forgot.
I'm being serious. Even with the bad like draft they had, like it was just the first round pick that was terrible. Like every other pick in the draft was quality picks, and they also really got a quarterback and some receivers in free agency to really go along with that.
Yeah, but they're not like top 5. They would have cracked top 5 if they didn't draft Penix or if they didn't sign Kirk.
I definitely think paying Kirk $1 billion just to draft Penix is dumb. Like, that's just me.
Okay, that all right, guys. The MLB season is underway, as you guys know. So, let's talk about the Yankees. The Yankees are going bonkers, bro. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, both having MVP caliber seasons. Do you think this team will go far in the playoffs?
I think they will go far. I mean, they're pretty well. I mean, they're doing pretty well, and I think in the AL, I think they'll go pretty far. I think they'll
I
make it at least to the ALCS or like that's like the bare minimum at this point. They're doing pretty well,
yeah.
and I think if they retain the momentum like throughout the entire season, like they got it. They got it for sure. They can.
Yeah, but the one problem I have, they always like sell. Like 2 years ago, in the second half of the season, the Yankees were on pace to have like one of the greatest seasons of all time. Then they like fell off near the second half. Barely made. They were under 500 in the second half. I remember they made it to like the ALCS or the ALDS, and they lost to the Astros. They got swept by the Astros. I don't know if this team's like built to like culturally built for the playoffs. Maybe Juan Soto will change that. He has experience winning a World Series with the Nationals, but I'm not I don't think this team is winning the World Series. I don't think this team is capable yet of winning the World Series until I see the second half of the season. But
I
the
think
first half of the season, they're doing really well.
yeah, I think they're doing pretty well. Obviously, you're right. I mean, like they do have a tendency to falter in the second half of the season, but I think this year is different. I mean, they've been playing outstanding baseball like throughout the entire
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so
And
usually
in
how teams, it's just like universally in all sports, usually the teams, at least in the regular season, that do good in the second half, say if they hit a hot streak, like for example, the 2022 Celtics, they started off winning every single game in the second half of the season. They did end up reaching the finals. So, teams in the entire like sports world, when they start hitting that stride in the second half of the season, they start peaking. That's usually the team that's going to go the farthest in the playoffs.
Go
That
does
is
not know baseball.
no,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know
true. He's
baseball.
not wrong. He's not
I'm not
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
I mean, you could
But
see it in the Atlanta Hawks as well.
yeah, like if we've seen the Astros have always started out slow, including especially this season. This season they're like uncharacteristically slow, but historically they started out bad. They turn up at the end of the season, made a deep run in the playoffs. But let's talk about the Astros actually. They are as of now 26 and 34, third in the AL West. They are 7.5 games behind the Mariners, who are 34 and 27. They just lost a series against the Mariners, which really hurts their chances. I do you see this team going far in the playoffs? Do you see this team making the playoffs?
I think it really depends. I mean, there's still a whole lot of baseball to be played left.
It is recorded.
Okay, never mind.
There's a lot of baseball still left to be played, and I think if the Astros could string together a few series together, they have a really good chance of getting hot. And we've seen this team get hot before, and as you mentioned, like that World Series run they had, they didn't really get hot until the second half of the season. So we have to really wait.
Yeah, I think this team can still do it. They did really good in the month of May. They started off terrible. They're still going through a lot of injuries too. Like Framber Valdez was injured. Javier was injured. They've Urquidy, Kohlers. That guy's like dead, bro. I have no clue what happened. Yeah, and their bullpen and starting pitching has been terrible. People like Renel Blanco, Spencer Arguetti had to step up. Spencer Arguetti started off slow. The Astros, like their pitching is the main issue, and people like Josh Hader, Ryan Presley have not been good this season. Josh Hader has been all right, but for what we paid him, he has not been good at all. And Ryan Presley has been like steadily on the decline. Last season he had like a 3.6 something ERA, and this season he has a 5 point something. And the offense has been doing great. The offense is among the top in like OPS. Kyle Tucker's like top 5 in the AL in home runs. So I feel like as long as the bullpen gets together, as long as the bullpen is fine, as long as the pitching in general is fine, the Astros will be fine. They need to.
They have all the talent. If everyone performs at maximum level, they will win the World Series. I believe. Like they are probably one of the best.
We could probably pull some moves near the trade deadline. We could probably trade for a pitcher. We need to get rid of Abreu. Abreu stinks. Oh my gosh, he stinks. He is at like a 100 batting average. He's had 1 home run the entire season. He's been like sent. He's been optioned. He's been forward to the minors, but he's back now. He stinks. We need to get rid of him.
That's true.
And looking at the NL, we got Phillies leading the NL East, 41 wins and 19 losses. Braves are 6.5
leading. I mean, wonder why they're leading.
I think people like Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm has had a standout season, and then you got pitchers like Ranger Suarez, who's been crazy.
I think the one thing why they're leading is because the Braves have had some injuries that very hampered them, and we're still not figuring it out what we're gonna do with the Acuna injury, and that's very
Ranger Suarez is at like a 1.7 ERA. He is among the Cy Young candidates along with Shotei Managa. Phillies, they're just having a great season all around, and the Braves, injuries with Acuna is not helping, and people like Sean Murphy, Matt Olson being really slow to start off the season. We've seen the Braves win the World Series with Acuna. How will they do it again this year?
How will they do it again this year? I think
yes.
Without Acuna, you mean? You said
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how will they do it again this year? I think the talent, what we have to do is they have to really rally around. They have to pick up the pieces together, and this team is still very good without Acuna. It's not a bad team, and they could still make it into the postseason. They just have to start rallying together and start playing good baseball, and that's how they win. There's nothing more than just playing good baseball at this point. They just have to rally.
Yeah. The main reason I feel like the Braves won last time, many people stepped up, especially in the second half of the season. They made good deadline deals. Many I think Adam Duvall. I don't remember clearly, but they made moves at the deadline to bring that team to into the playoffs and over into the World Series. And then people like Jorge Soler with that clutch home run. A lot of lower players stepped up when Acuna was out. And I feel like they have people like Olsen needs to start warming up the bats. Olsen, what's his name? Murphy. They need to get their things together.
Yep.
So another topic I wanted to kind of throw out there is how is Paul Skeens doing? How is Livy Dunn showing?
Bro, Paul Skeens has actually been so good. Paul Skeens.
I understand Paul Skeens has been very good, but how is Livy Dunn? How has his love for her propelled his advancement to the next level of baseball?
Well. See, the thing is, I don't really care that much because Livy Dunn's not the baseball player. See, I'm not trying to turn her into
another thing we want to mention, obviously, is that Livy Dunn is Baby Gronk's ex. So how does that play into factor of Paul Skeens? Is there some jealousy? Is there some drama that we're looking for?
Yes, no, I think Paul Skeens is getting revenge. He's trying to sell Baby Gronk to the boss. Really?
Yeah. So I think we're looking forward to seeing that. We're trying to see that drama develop. So that's going to be a really good story for MLB going forward.
I agree.
Yeah, but Paul Skeens has been going. He's started off slow, but he has a 2.45 ERA. He has 22 innings pitched, 30 strikeouts too. In 22 innings, 30 strikeouts.
That's amazing.
That's really good. That's a 12.3 strikeouts per nine. He is a generational talent. Livy Dunn won. Livy
That's
Dunn
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Baby Gronk got someone to watch out for. Definitely. That's something we're going to be looking forward to. that's something definitely I'm going to be looking forward to. I'm very invested in this. So yeah.
I bet you are. Of course you are. Okay, moving on, Patrice. Talk about the next
And
topic.
how about the Royals? I did not expect this team to be this good already. I knew they had talent like Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez, but they've really surprised me this year.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think.
well yeah, go ahead.
Wait. You were about to ask a question. What was it?
Um Bobby Witt is hitting 313 with 9 home runs, and 42 RBIs. He has stepped up major for this Kansas City Royals team, and along with Salvador Perez, he is hitting 315 with 10 home runs and 41 RBIs. And pitchers like Seth Lugo, who I personally have on my fantasy team. Seth Lugo, he has an ERA of 1.72, 66 strikeouts, and 88 innings pitched.
Yeah, I think another
He
reason to trace their success is not just like signings to buy Seth Lugo, is the fact that they spent so much money like picking up these great quality players. They're not necessarily stars, but they're still like quality players that can get the job done. And according to Spotrac, I think they paid about $110 million to eight free agents signings, and that really shows how much they've improved. And I think this run could be sustainable.
Yeah, if they make a few next year, if they make a few moves, especially with that really weak AL Central, even though the Guardians are doing really good, there's still a weak division. I feel like they could be like the Orioles last season, where they're they could spend some money like how the Orioles did with Corbin Burns. They could step up their team. They could become a contender next year.
Yeah. I think another reason I think we shouldn't be really that surprised about the Royals being like this good is because I'm looking into their second half of the season last year. I mean, they had like a .423 winning percentage, and like if they played like throughout the whole like season, that would have been like about 68 wins. But that's not necessarily good, but it's also not necessarily bad. So I'm seeing really the improvement of the Royals really happening from like season to season. It's not really, they weren't really 106 losses were bad. Really more like 80 or 90.
All right, and that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go rate our show on Spotify. That would be much appreciated. And go follow our socials. We have polls for our stories for every time a new championship game comes up or anything like that. So stay tuned for the next episode.